Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom, that's Jeff. Jeff, how the hell are you doing?
Doing good. We're closing out the year, last episode of 2025. So we, figured go way back in the coffers today, but, ready to roll the clock forward here on this in a day or two and, start 2026 and see what wrestling has in store for us.
Well, yeah, this match is almost 40 years old, which, yeah, you weren't kidding about going way back. How did this match hit your radar?
Yeah, this was one, again, when it just, as we've been kind of digging into house shows a little bit more and dark matches and things that maybe you haven't seen, or maybe like some of those matches you haven't thought about in a long time. Like, I've been trying to do more of these for our listeners of like, hey, let's find some of the, we've all watched, WrestleMania. We've all watched SummerSlam, but where are some of these other matches that may tell a little bit of a story or, might show us some wrestlers like very early in their career? And it's one thing to see a young Bret Hart, but it's a totally different to see a young, Roddy Piper. It's a totally different to see a young Harley Race. Like, and I use the term young relatively because like in their careers, like they may have been wrestling for a while in front of house shows, but like these are the first opportunities that we're getting to see some of these people. And so it's just one of those, the names kind of stop you. You're like, oh man, like, okay, like this could be a big thing. And especially, the storylines were different at that point. It wasn't told on TV like this. And so the fact that we have some of these house show matches, like they are telling a story that we weren't seeing, nobody was seeing on TV at that point, unless it was like a regional or, one of those type promotions. So it was cool. And then, it plants the seeds for a lot of things to see where things might be going or prepping for future events, whatever they might be. It's weird to think in 86, most quote pay-per-views have never been established at this point. And that's just, pay-per-view wasn't a thing, but it was around WrestleMania. Like WrestleMania was a thing. So it's just really interesting to see these very early matches. And I know you and I have been trying to focus on them a little bit more because it's just cool. And it's stuff we haven't seen.
Agreed. I'm pumped about this, and this will be a fun one. Got a lot to talk about. So let's get right into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
All right, so we're in Madison Square Garden for this one, Jeff. And in this era, the WWF would run Madison Square Garden basically every month, which is wild, and fill the damn place, right? So this is November 24th of 1986. And this is in the era where, again, we're doing a show a month at Madison Square Garden, occasionally doing a big other show. Like the year before this, in 1985, there was the war to settle the score with PIPER and Hogan. Obviously, we had WrestleMania 1 at Madison Square Garden as well. So on this particular card, we open up with Billy Jack Haynes and Bob Orton going to a double count out in 13 minutes. Hercules defeating Pedro Morales in 9 minutes. Kamala defeating George Steele in 3 minutes. Leaping Lanny Poffo defeating Steve Lombardi, the Brooklyn Brawler, in 10 minutes. Hillbilly Jim defeating Magnificent Morocco by DQ in 7 minutes. Then our match, which a lot of times, I think most of the time in this era, the main event was in the middle of the show. And I've never really heard of, I think there were a couple reasons. I think they wanted to sell tickets to the following show. So based on what would happen in this match, they'd say, we're going to take a 10-minute intermission and go to your local box office, because when we return, Hulk Hogan's going to settle the score with Paul Orndorff. So I think that was the reason. I also think that sometimes if Hogan was working a double shot, had to get to a different city or wanted to get out there before. So I think those are the reasons. After the match, we're covering Karate Kid and Pepe Gomez defeated Little Tokyo and Lord Littlebrook in 13 minutes. Coco Beware is going to defeat Jimmy Jack Funk in 8 minutes. And then the final match, the dream team of Brutus Beefcake and Greg Valentine are going to defeat the Islanders in 13 minutes. Jeff, I didn't count how many Hall of Famers were on this show, but
yeah,
there's a lot. 5. I mean, there's probably like 12 Hall of Famers on the show, which is pretty cool. So storyline standpoint, I know we're right in the mix of all these guys. How do we get to this match?
Yeah, so to kind of set the stage a little bit for this, I say it's going to feel weird saying this, but in April of 1986, so this same year is when you had WrestleMania 2, which of course was the 3 different locations. The next kind of big supercard pay-per-view that would be coming after this one would be WrestleMania 3. And so at the Silverdome. And so you're like you said, we're here for Mania 1 and MSG. Then we got 2, which was in, New York, Illinois, and California. And then you're in Michigan finally for 3, which is where it really kicks off and turns into what it is now and what it is today. But the feuds in this one and how it kind of played out was, let's look first at Hogan and Orndorff. Like, they had a feud throughout the summer. You had Orndorff actually turned on Hogan during a tag match against King Kong Bundy and Big John Studd. And so he joined Bobby the Brain's stable and immediately became Hogan's number 1 rival. And so this was that kind of house show they would have in their matches. Harley Race at this point had just come into WWE from the NWA. And so he was being established as the King Harley Race, again, with Bobby the Brain Heenan. He wanted him in main events because he did have a name for himself as, Harley Race and who he was. And so he was paired up with Orndorff for this match because of the star power and making sure that you had 2 big names at the top of that tag team for that. Piper on the flip side, and so he had actually just come back from filming a movie. He was in between. He wasn't really hated, but he also wasn't a baby face either. He was in that tweener kind of area. And so, but putting him with Hogan in this match, this was, the 2 of them had feuded. And so you had that kind of weird dynamic, but then also like Piper, it was to test is he that kind of anti-hero? Are they going to cheer him? Is he the Jake the Snake? Is he the Dom Mysterio? Like, is he going to get that pop even though fans may not like him? So it was really kind of a dream team tag match at the time. You had the former enemies of Hogan and Piper versus the Heenan family, is the best way to look at it, of Orndorff and Harley Race. And so, but while that was a big part of it, the Hogan and Piper they were the bigger names on the card, let's be real. And so that was the real selling point for this match and how we got it. So, like I said, other than like those were the overall storylines. It wasn't the week before, so he hit him with a chair. Like, nope, it's just, this was kind of the aura that they had at that time.
Love it. Well, this is going to be a fun one. My guess is it's going to be a pretty fast paced one. I'm looking forward
absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Good. You ready?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right, we got this one on YouTube. You'll post the link. It's just the match title, WWF on MSG 11/24/86. Jeff, are you ready?
Let's do this.
It's time for the payoff.
Ho! It's time for the payoff.
And it is scheduled for one fall with a
1 fall.
hour time limit.
Hour time? Is this going the full hour?
We'll find out, man. Howard Finkel better buckle up here. Young Howard Finkel.
Young Howard Finkel, but he was still bald. This guy was bald when he came out of the womb.
Howard Finkel, our ring announcer. That means only one. Ladies and gentlemen, about to make their way towards the ring.
All right, so we have Harley Race's entrance music, which is the Jerry the King Lawler one.
Yes.
Okay.
As he's coming out as the king. Yeah.
And he's like in full king regalia. He won one of the King of the Ring tournaments to win that. He was relatively new to the WWF at this point. I mean, remember, we caught Harley Race late in his run. Relatively late. So, I mean, this guy was, wrestling in the late 60s against Dory Funk over the NWA title, right? So, like, that's, I mean, my memory of Harley Race, I mean, a little bit in this era, but mostly, I think guys our age remember Harley Race as Vader's manager.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you've got Orndorff in the Flair-esque robe as well too, almost tripping getting into the ring there too. Whoops! And not yelling at Heenan about it. Good stuff. Yep.
So Harley Race, at the time he was like the Ric Flair in the sense of he was an 8-time NWA heavyweight champion, which at the time was the record. So the old record. Oh, Heenan on the mic.
In many ways, capable of taking the championship at any time. Wrestling.
I mean, for my money, my favorite manager ever. Just so good. So we got to see how Hogan comes out for this one. I'm curious. Is he going to come out with Piper?
Whose music? Yeah, I'm curious too.
Yeah. I can't remember if we were Real American at this point yet, or if we were still Eye of the Tiger or whatever else he was coming out to. So we got to see that. There you go. Okay, here's Piper.
Coming
out solo.
32 pounds.
Yeah. Sounds like no music.
Roddy Piper.
Looks great.
Yeah.
Listen to the fans.
Standing ovation for Roddy Piper.
All right, here you go.
The Madison Square Garden will come unglued now.
That iconic just hallway of MSG.
Yep.
Heavyweight champion, Hogan.
Listen to him. Remember, this is before 3. This is before Andre. This is like, Hogan just, wow. Yep.
Well, and sometimes it's hard even for us to understand just how over Hulk Hogan was. Bruce Pritchard, he's now back on his podcast. He did a recent Hogan episode just because he really hadn't spoken publicly since Hogan passed away. And I mean, it's just, you forget that during this era, I mean, he was behind Mother Teresa, the most recognizable person in the world. And that's not some wrestling bullshit hyperbole. That's the honest to goodness truth, is he was that over, right? All right, so here we go. We're off and running here. We haven't, I don't know if we've covered a Harley Race match before. Maybe we have, but he's one of those guys where I don't know, maybe there's been a documentary. If so, I haven't seen it, but pretty wild life. I mean, he gets into wrestling at 15. At 18, he's in a car accident that kills his wife at the time, and they wanted to amputate his leg. He says no. Okay, like they would have amputated his leg if he just went along with doctor's orders. And here we are all these years later, and he's headlining Madison Square Garden as a wrestler with a leg that they wanted to amputate, which is just insane to think about.
This is our first Harley Race match. We've done a few Orndorffs, a few Pipers as well too. Especially recently, we did Paul Orndorff versus Roddy Piper. So, in a very quick match on that one, I did find a little bit actually to answer the question of why they placed these matches in the middle. A big part of it, actually, when you think about it, and like we talked about, they were doing that regional or the closed circuit TV. It was actually a timing thing with the closed circuit TV, and so it was to make sure that the audiences that were watching it, a lot of them had a time limit, like of when the program, how long the program could run on TV. And so this guaranteed that you were able to see not necessarily what was the main event, but what was the attraction match. And Hogan was typically, as we know, the attraction of this. And so you'll see these matches, like the biggest matches in the middle of the card, because after 50 or, however long on TV with the ads, 44 minutes, like the program's over. So you may not see those last 3 matches, but on the regional TV, they can, it's okay for them to get to this point. So the TV of it was really important. But then also, like I said, a big piece of it wasn't like we hear nowadays, who's the main event, who's night 1, who's night 2. It was, who is the attraction? Who are you coming to see? And you were coming to see Hogan, and I would guess it played into like how hot the crowd was. Like we heard how hot they are. Like sometimes we know we've been at shows where at the end of 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, you're just not in it anymore. Like it's just hard to be there. But at this point, hey, we've had a couple good matches, and now we're going to get Hogan after 45 minutes. Great. Awesome. Let's do this.
It's just so funny to see a guy like Harley Race with his physique, because that just wouldn't fly now. The closest we have to it's Kevin Owens, and he keeps it pretty buttoned up with like a shirt and like spandex underneath there. But
you just don't get that look anymore.
And remember that Harley Race was smoking a pack a day too. So greatest Harley Race match of all time that shows up on a lot of lists is Starrcade 83, which was a steel cage match against Ric Flair. It's been called the defining moment in Race's career. Flair becomes champion. It's a little bit of a passing the torch, but that's a big one that we may want to put on our list.
I do have that one on our list already. Yep.
Great. And then we didn't cover Harley Race versus Hulk Hogan on Saturday night's main event.
Not that I see here.
Okay.
Nope.
Maybe we covered another match on that show, but that's another one that might be fun to cover. I'm sure just a shorter TV match, but that would be a fun one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A lot of different Pipers, a lot of different. So now you got Orndorff in the ring, kind of stomping on Piper, and Race attacking him on the apron as well too, with the ref being distracted. There you go. Yep.
So I was looking at, because I didn't know when Paul Heyman got started as a photographer, because I was like, was it around this era? Believe it or not, this is how long this guy's been around. He got started taking photography at Madison Square Garden in 1976. So 10 years before this, 50 years ago. And so by 86, he was actually already in the territories as Paulie Dangerously, the manager. It's crazy. Like, man, you think of, and I don't know the right word, like icon or, luminary, but you think of, when it's all said and done, Paul Heyman is going to be on this like Mount Rushmore-ish conversation around like most influential figures in the history of professional wrestling. He's not Vince McMahon, but who's number 2? Vince Sr.?
Right.
Tony Khan? Eric Bischoff? Hulk Hogan? Ric Flair? Steve Austin? Right? You really think about it, and you're like, in the history of wrestling, Paul Heyman's going to be in that top 5 of just most influential. This guy, the ECW influence, one of the greatest managers of all time, longevity, what he's done as a manager in the past, 15 years. The Brock stuff and the Bloodline stuff and this stuff now and the people he's given rubs to. It's tough in the moment to think about that, but this is like a top 5 non-wrestler of all time, no question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I had known that it was Madison Square Garden where, he got his start, but I didn't realize just how long ago it was. Like, that's crazy to think about. And so you just don't think about him being that old. And so, but then again, you think like, when the Bloodline was having all the issues and he let his hair go white for that storyline, that took the better part of less than a month, felt like it was like 2-3 weeks. And all of a sudden, that was that. So, which is just a great little story. And I think that I think because of who Heyman is, we won't know a lot of the stories until he's dead. Like, we won't know a lot of the stories of, how, WWE, we know the WWE kept them afloat secretly. But, just kind of how that contributed to everything. Like, like you said, it's crazy to think just how influential it is. You got Hogan in the ring now. The crowd looks like they're going nuts as he's beating him in race.
Irish whip in the corner. Look out. Follows it right up. Orndorff steps in. And the Hulk unloading.
Well, you bring up a great point that I've been thinking a lot about with Hogan's passing, which is, are we Hogan leg drop?
This one is over. Oh no, Orndorff comes in and makes it.
Ooh, kicked out.
All 4 men inside now. Orndorff got and Heenan got clobbered. And Hulk chasing Heenan. Meanwhile,
I love how Heenan had like a neck injury that took him out of wrestling, but he bumped in every match.
He did, yeah.
Oh, he closed one. 1, 2. He got 3.
Oh, listen to him. Oh my gosh.
The referee counted the wrong man, and that is not a victory. Surely he'll tell them to carry on.
Oh,
If this stands, it'll be a strange one. Piper bailed out of there, leaving the champion in alone, and now it's a double team effort. Oh, look at that. Orndorff just clobbered her.
all right. So match is over. The heels are attacking Hogan afterwards. Heenan taking some punches in.
Just kind of screwy finish.
I mean, with some of these pops, I mean, I know a large part of it is like Hogan was over, but
yeah,
how much louder are the pops when you don't have tens of thousands of idiots sitting there filming it? Like, put your damn phone away and just watch wrestling. Like, even some of those those Austin pops, like in the 90s, nobody had a phone out. Like, all you were doing was sitting there watching the show. You weren't on Twitter. You weren't filming. You weren't live streaming. I mean, I don't understand what these people... I mean, it's like they're sitting there live streaming it or filming all these videos. Why? So that your 8 followers can like it? Like, just enjoy it, man. You spent a shit ton of money on these tickets.
Well, think of how many moments in the history of WWE where the camera flashes make the moment. Like, that's a part of the moment. Like, that's what it is. Yeah.
Hey, look, I saw Mick Foley get thrown off the cage. I was, what was I, 13, 14 years old, and I wasn't holding a phone. I just watched it. It's burned into my memory. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Forever. Yep. Absolutely.
All right. So Hogan's posing. I think we got the end. I mean, look at
The hero for the youth of America.
They love him. So, one point I want to make real quick is, you mentioned something about the stories we'll never hear. Man, now the rumor is that Hogan sat down and did a documentary or did a long form interview for a documentary recently. Okay. So that's knock on wood, hopefully. Now, Hogan, it's tough to tell when he's working. Yeah, I think sometimes he's working, sometimes he's being honest, sometimes he's just a guy in his 70s that forgets shit. So it's not like I don't, okay. So anyways, then Vince is apparently writing a tell-all book. Like, he's going to cover everything. My point here is I hope we can get behind the curtain on as much as possible while we still can. Like, I want to know everything from Vince McMahon, because we've never, no bullshit. Like, I want to hear in long form, day of the screw job. I want to hear, why he didn't turn Hogan heel when Hogan's star was starting to fade in the early 90s. Like, I want to hear this stuff. And a lot of it, we're never going to hear. I know some of these guys did shoot interviews and stuff, but it's like, man, to have had Roddy Piper sit down, I think like the gold standard's the Michael Jordan documentary. Like, to get someone to sit down for a full day or for 2 full days and just talk about everything and get 10 hours of it, man, it'd be nice to see that. So, all right, let's get to the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
What'd you think?
Yeah, it's not, not 5-star, or 10, however many stars, but it is really cool to see these wrestlers in the old days, the late 80s. Like, yes, there was WrestleManias, and yes, wrestling was becoming a bigger thing, but you don't go back and watch these matches. Like, you just, people don't. And so, unless you're crazy like we are. And so I think that overall, it was just cool to see all of these wrestlers. Like I said, they did play up the Hogan Piper kind of angle as well too, and will they, won't they? And so it was just, if I had gone to that house show, oh yeah, that would have been great. Like that would have been what I wanted to see.
Oh yeah, I liked it. I thought that was fun. All right. Aftermath on this one.
Yeah. So what do we got here? So you had the Mr. Wonderful and the Hulkamaniac, that feud kind of continuing. It was actually not until January of the following year, 1987. You had that Saturday Night Main Event steel cage match. It was the double finish. And so that really kept them hot into WrestleMania 3 season. Hogan, it was all about putting big heels around him, making him, can he beat Andre? That was the biggest part of that. And so leading into that, Piper really started becoming a babyface after this. And so he was the crowd favorite. He was that anti-hero, taking on Adrian Adonis. And so that's which Piper's quote retirement match at WrestleMania 3. And so we know that. Yeah. And then Harley Race on the flip side, being the king, didn't really break through into the main event, but like how Orndorff did, but he was still a feature for many years after this. And so but it really was about keeping Hogan and Orndorff hot, getting Piper into that babyface role, and then just having the Madison Square Garden moment. Like I said, it wasn't the main event, but it was the attraction, and that's what people wanted to see. So this one, too early for PWI, too early for even Dave Meltzer. So no write-ups or anything on this one, nothing really out there. So we've got no stars or anything or scores to go off of on this one, but what are you thinking for your payoff score, Tom?
I got this at a 5. I mean, it was fun, but it was, nothing remarkable. Pretty standard house show match. What about you?
Yeah, same here. 5. It was good for what it was. Like I said, it is fun to go back and watch that because it is one that, it's just fun. Like it's to see them. It does tell a little bit of a story, and hopefully we laid that out for everybody as well to know what's going on. But yeah, I think overall it's really good.
Good, man. What do we have next week?
Oh, 2026. We got that for starters, but we are going to, what do we have here? This is, another Hulk Hogan match. We're going to keep the focus there. So you got the Honky Tonk Man and Randy Savage taking on Hulk Hogan and Ricky Steamboat. This is actually a dark match from WWE Superstars in January of 1987. And so we'll see what happens here. I have no clue what we're getting into, but that we're going to start 2026 strong.
All right, let's go. All right, well, as always, we appreciate everyone listening, and we'll see you next week on an all-new episode of The Payoff.